Guys, we have a new season upon us with lots of new loot and actually a major shift from what we're used to. This is our seasonal guide for Season of the Witch. And let me just start off by saying the lore this season is already off to a great start. I am in love with everything that's happening, the dialogue between us and Amaru and Eris, everything that she's doing, how it's all tying back in together with Xivu of Wrath and Savathun. It's fantastic. Now, this season, we have new missions, 2 new activities, deck building, which I did not expect, which is what's really going to be pushing us into new territory here. There's a lot to go over, but first we're going to start with the seasonal quest and then a breakdown of how each of the 2 new activities work. And then we're going to dive fully into the new seasonal mechanic that has you collecting cards and then building a deck of powerful abilities. There are timestamps down below if you're looking to just jump on something specific, but let's begin. First off, same old stuff season quest wise. Once you log in, you'll get thrown into the first mission called Way of the Witch. It's very straightforward, guys. Just do what the game tells you and you'll progress through the first step of the Toil and Trouble questline. Now, the next step will have you running the activity called Savathun Spire. This is a new seasonal activity, and this 3-man activity has you fighting through 3 main encounters, along with some platforming in between. These encounters will vary each time you run the activity. Some examples of these encounters feature a mix of mechanics that include, number 1, elemental crystals. Now, you're gonna have 3 different crystals to deal with: void crystals, arc crystals, and solar crystals. Now, void crystals require you to destroy them while standing near them within their shield. Arc crystals gives you a charge when you melee them, and you can then spread that charge to other arc crystals via your melee again. Solar crystals will have you pick it up and then carry it to specific locations. You can also melee with this crystal to attack, but don't get too carried away, guys, because holding this thing burns you in the process. Now, the second mechanics is plates. Pretty straightforward on this, guys. These encounters with plates require you to clear enemies until a diamond appears over a plate. Then you stand on that plate until it charges up. Now, once it's charged, it'll summon relics for you to use against even more enemies. Now, mechanic number 3, elemental spheres. Some encounters will have giant elemental spheres at the center of the room. Now, the solar one will occasionally burn the room, so you want to hide behind the environment to avoid the burn. The void sphere will tether you, which will slow movement, and the arc sphere also does damage over time, but only in one section of the room at a time. Now, each encounter will have 1 or 2 of these mechanics accompanied with tons of enemies and bosses to take down. And the game actually will give you instructions, so just follow them if you need to, guys, to know what you need to be doing and when. Now, in between encounters, there will be platforming puzzles that are honestly really simple. Now, throughout the activity, though, you will come across floating cards, which will require you to have a certain elemental attunement to pick up. These are collectible cards that are a part of a new deck building mechanic that was added for this season, but we believe the ability to acquire these elemental cards are currently time gated. There's also floating elemental hive runes throughout the activity as well, and shooting them with a matching element will activate them. Now, this will reveal 2 secret chests that will drop rewards weekly. Keep in mind, guys, this is account wide though. Now, there's also a portal section of platforming that features multiple portals with hive runes above them. We're not really sure what these runes indicate, as each portal brings you to the same location no matter what. I pretty much tried to match it every single time with the original runes that we saw there, but there were a few times that it didn't seem like it hindered me when I went through the wrong portal. Now, the boss encounter of this activity also varies, but they're gonna have essentially the same mechanics as the other encounters, but instead with a boss or multiple bosses to take down along with immunity phases. Now, the next step of the Toil and Trouble quest is to investigate the portal in the southern wing of the Hound. You'll then be speaking with Eris Morn in the Athenaeum after her transformation. Honestly, that was such a dope scene. Then you need to visit the Lectern of Divination in the Athenaeum and make sure you select the available cards you've acquired in order to claim the quests tied to them. We're gonna go over these quests in just a few. And then finally, visit the ritual table in the Athenaeum. Now, after this, you will receive the Bladed Path quest. This is the seasonal quest that you're gonna be progressing every week. Now, the Bladed Path quest, which is the seasonal quest, starts off with you completing the mission Invoke. Now, this mission is the new Altars of Summoning 3-man seasonal activity, not to be confused with Altars of Sorrow, which is the activity on the moon. Completely different. Now, first, you're going to start off by activating the staff here, and once activated, you'll be directed to go in the direction of the first encounter.
Yo, this is Jared. I'm an editor. When we found out about this mechanic, Cross was already asleep, so I'm here to provide the details. You can technically activate any of these runes to start the activity, but if each of your fire team members activates the correct 3 runes at the same time, you'll get some orbs and some ammo to start off the activity with. To know which runes to activate, you just want to look for the rune icon, of which there's only 3 of. This indicates which ones to activate. Have each of your teammates stand under a different one and activate it, and you're good to go. Alright, cool. Take it away, Cross.
Now, these encounters can have some of the same mechanics that we talked about earlier, but there's also new things happening as well. Sometimes you have to deal with crystals in order to progress or damage a boss. There's a Vex encounter where you have to stop Vex from sacrificing themselves while also taking out 3 Minotaurs. You got a Lucent Hive encounter where you have to kill wizards and collect the motes so they drop to deposit in Hive altars. Now, each encounter also has 3 versions of it, depending on the offering that's deposited at each room's entrance. There's also 3 different offerings currently: Feeble, Robust, and Powerful. We'll just call these easy, medium, and hard. These offerings drop as rewards from both the new seasonal activities. The offerings you supply at the beginning of each encounter of the Altars of Summoning activity will dictate the difficulty of whichever encounter you end up rolling, as well as the rewards you get. Now, from our experience and testing, it's definitely worth running the toughest difficulty if you can manage it. It doesn't hurt to try the hardest difficulty either, because if you do end up failing, you can just retry again with another offering. Now, after you complete all these encounters, you'll be awarded a chest and you will get the next quest steps. This activity also works as something you can remain in after you've collected your rewards, and you don't have to relaunch it or even go to orbit and return. You can just wait for the timer to tick down, then return to the center to start the cycle again. Now, if you don't have a team, new teammates will matchmake with you, and the next quest steps will include you interacting with the holo projector in the helm, listening to the radio message in the helm after that, and that's pretty much it for this week's quest step. Now, on to the Deck of Whispers. This is a very interesting mechanic, guys. First off, you can view all the cards via the Lectern Divination table in the Athenaeum, which is the area through the portal in the helm. Now, you obtain new cards called opaque cards. Now, you can obtain these cards from the new seasonal activity chests, ritual table rank rewards, or they can even make floating as collectibles on destinations. Matter of fact, guys, there's actually one at the very back of this room of the Athenaeum that you can collect immediately. Now, you can also get cards from ritual activities, but keep in mind, at least from our experience, these appear to only be minor cards. We're gonna get into that in just a moment. Now, when you obtain an opaque card, you reveal what the card is at the table. If it's a major card, you can select it to obtain a quest, and you can actually view this quest in your quest log, and you will have to complete that quest associated with that card in order to then add that card to your deck. The quests really aren't that hard, guys. It's normally like completing the activity, that being the seasonal activity. One of mine was like go do Altar of Sorrows and complete 5 waves of that. Now, these major cards come with different amounts of benefits and unlocks. All major cards have a card ability, and when 5 major arcana cards have been acquired, one will be selected at random before each encounter in both the new seasonal activities. Now, you have to have 5 cards unlocked with your associated quest completed before this mechanic will appear in the new activities. Now, you can actually view, add, and remove cards from your deck by interacting with them in the Athenaeum when you have 5 or more. Now, when you have these card abilities in game, they will appear as buffs on screen as the card's name, but for some reason, there doesn't seem to be a way to see the description of the card you have, which is annoying, requiring you to remember which cards do what in order to build around them. Now, some major cards also unlock seasonal bonuses, which are viewable when you hover over the card at the table. Some major cards also unlock the ability to claim new bounties from the ritual table, which is the other table right beside the lectern table. Now, when you reveal an opaque card, it can also be a minor arcana card. These can be perks, items, or even upgrades. These upgrades are similar to the seasonal upgrades that we're used to. These cards aren't added to the deck, they're just unlocks or rewards. Now, examples of these upgrades include Empowered Unlocking, where using your Witch's Keys will award additional Witch Ingrams. These are just like the previous season keys, where they will be automatically used if you have them upon completing either of the 2 new activities, granting you more rewards. Now, you can get keys to just drop from completing activities around the system, but you can also get them from the ritual table and seasonal rank rewards. Now, another upgrade is Witchcrafting, where the new season of the Witch weapon that you focus at the ritual table table will be a deep sight resonance if possible. And you should unlock both of these upgrade cards from completing the quests available this week. Now, the cards that show up as quote-unquote locked when viewing the lectern table, we believe are locked due to time gates in some way, shape, or form. You obtain cards from completing seasonal quests, which are obviously time gated. And there are the elemental attunement cards we talked about earlier that we aren't sure how to pick up quite yet. Now, each time you unlock a new major card, you also get a lore entry, and there are currently 12 lore entries in total. There's also 12 altars in the Athenaeum where cards go. So we believe that means there's going to be 12 total major cards. The first 5, which you can get this week, and there's a chance that we're going to get access to the remaining 7 as the season progresses. And it could be something like 1 each week over the course of 7 weeks. But again, this is purely speculation. I just know from our own experience, guys, we have not unlocked more than 5 major cards. Feel free to let me know if you have. Now, cards are also account wide, so you don't have to unlock each card for each character. All in all, guys, there's some good rewards here, and I really do like this mechanic. I'm curious to see how it all fleshes out. The minor cards also have pretty good rewards, netting you things like upgrade materials, exotics, and no lie, the thought of actually unlocking this entire thing does intrigue me. Now, next, we need to talk about the ritual table. This table is essentially the same as what we had for Season of the Deep. This is where you're going to find your ritual table reputation, various rank rewards, bounties that you unlock via collecting cards, and seasonal Ingram weapon and armor focusing. Now, the seasonal armor this time around increases your chances of creating an additional offering during activities. These are the offerings for the altars of summoning. Each of the armor you are wearing with this perk increases this bonus to a maximum of 4 items. So again, guys, if you're trying to optimize, I would suggest wearing those full sets. These are also the seasonal weapons you can get. Yes, they are craftable. The hand cannon is the one we're actually jumping on right now. And again, guys, those unlocks will help you get those deep sights. But don't forget, if you do have the season pass, you can take advantage of those deep sight harmonizers to unlock weapon patterns even faster. Again, I'm not a fan of this being only obtainable through the season pass, but it is something you can take advantage of. Other than that, guys, make sure to grab your catalyst quest for the new exotic grenade launcher. Yes, we're gonna have a review on that. It has some crazy synergy with the hunter exotic, so be looking out for that one. Good luck this season, guys. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.